Did you know that's why God became a man? We always like to say God became a man because he had to take care of the sin issue. He can take care of the sin issue without becoming a man. Did you know that God could have taken care of the sin issue without shedding one drop of blood? Oh, really? Yeah. Jesus walked into a room one time. They tore the roof off, dropped a man in front of him, paralyzed. Jesus said to the man, "Son, thy sins be forgiven you." Every religious person in the room freaked out. You can't say to someone, "Son, thy sins be forgiven." He didn't kill one lamb. He didn't kill a bullock. He didn't offer up a sacrifice. He didn't go to the temple. He didn't even ask God. He didn't tell God that he was a sinner. He didn't ask for forgiveness. He didn't do anything. "Son, thy sins be forgiven you." They start to pull their hair out. "How can you say thy sins be forgiven you?" He goes, would you like it better? What's easier? To say your sins are forgiven or rise, take up your bed and walk? He goes, "But so that you know that I have the power to forgive him of his sins. Now, son, take up your bed and walk." Why does he do it in reverse? Why does he do it that way? Because he wants to show them, my Father doesn't need anything to forgive sins. He can do whatever he wants to do. And if I'm wrong, this kid's not going to get healed, because God's not going to honor that kind of blasphemy by healing a paralyzed man after I told him his sins are forgiven. So if he doesn't get up, then you're right. I'm blaspheming and his sins aren't forgiven, because God won't do it that way. But when he stood up, everyone else shut up. Because if he would stand up after that sermon, "Son, thy sins be forgiven you." So that's why I say to you, Jesus didn't have to come so that he could take care of sins. God could have taken care of sins without Jesus. Jesus came to show you that the ideas you had about his dad were wrong. That the ideas you had about God were false. He wanted to show you what love looked like in the face of enemies, in the face of Romans, in the face of religion. He wanted to show you what God loved like when he met a leper and a blind man and a pimp and a prostitute. Because we had the wrong idea about God. His own disciples missed it. You want us to call down fire and kill these people? They didn't want anything to do with you? That happened one time in the ministry of Jesus. You want us to call down fire and kill them? And Jesus said, "You don't know what spirit you're of. I didn't come to kill people. I come to save people." Where'd they get that calling down fire on people bit? Where'd they get that from? Old Testament. And Jesus said, "That's not my dad." So Jesus didn't have to come to die so that you could be free from your sins. But let me tell you, watching Jesus die lets me know the love that God has for me in the middle of my sins. Because what the cross is him dying in my place as me, so that I can see, man, I must be loved. You go to this kind of length, put on a human body, and not come down here and lord it over everybody, but instead be a servant that washes people's feet and then dies on a cross to express the love of the Father for me. And let me tell you the other reason he came: because he wanted to know what it was like. I believe this. He wanted to know what it was like to be a man. Now, it's easy to say, oh, he knew what it was like to be a man. God knows everything. But you don't know what it's like to walk in someone's shoes until you put them on. And listen, when he hangs at Calvary, I know I'm stretching minds and hearts here tonight. That's just... When he hangs at Calvary and he says, "Father, forgive them, they know not what they do," don't look at that as a moment where Jesus forgives that sin. No. Look at that as a moment where Jesus admits to his Father, "Dad, we're going to have to forgive them. It ain't easy being them. It just ain't easy being them." And how many of you would agree? It ain't easy being us. It ain't easy losing people you love. It ain't easy going through storms. It ain't easy going through hell. Anybody that tells you it is has never went through it, or they're a liar. And you know that instinctively in your heart the first moment you face it. It ain't easy. It ain't easy getting to the other side of the sea. So Jesus shows us the way that's never crossed our mind. Rest in the middle of this storm.